Yo, it's time for another weekly recap. It's our third week in a row. I basically worked on the same thing for the entire week and then a document outside of that. So I guess I'll try to go into as much detail as possible about the one thing that we did do. I say one thing, but it's one giant thing that is kind of made up of a bunch of smaller things. So we'll take a look at all of those, and we can also show off the Fan Art Friday from this week, which was also very cool.
Smile, smile.
So the big thing that we did was do some further designing on the cave area. The cave is kind of broken up into a few different parts. The area that we started on last week is kind of the bottom of the cave where you're exploring around. And then this week is up near the top of the cave, and this is where the bats live, in kind of this high society, kind of Hogwarts looking mass of buildings. So we did a little bit of development to the bottom of the cave area as well. I experimented with some glowing grass, and then we were also thinking about some platforming challenges that we can do in these caves. And one thing that we already have working in the game is these mushroom platforms that grow when you slice them with your sword and make platforms temporarily, and then after a set amount of time they shrink back down into small mushrooms. So one thing that's important to me when designing things like this is design consistency. You know, we already have these mushrooms that are golden, and that's kind of the indicator that mushrooms can be hit with the sword and then they grow, is these golden mushrooms. So I wanted to make sure that these mushrooms are also golden, but it's really cool if they glow too, since this is a dark cave and we're thinking about some kind of gameplay based around the lights and maybe some enemies that react differently to whether they're in a lit up area or a dark area. So these mushrooms would grow and shrink when you slice them with your sword, and maybe these mushrooms might light up when you slice them with your sword or get dark when you slice them with your sword. I also made a new color palette for our wooden objects for this area, kind of a purpley brown color. I think it looks quite nice. We also made a giant version of those glowy mushrooms and some glowy vines, a blue version, a pink version. So this is the bottom of the cave, really cool. And then the idea is we're gonna go up a bunch of ramps and a bunch of steep cliffs to get to this upper area where the bat species call their home. A bunch of these cylindrical buildings. There's some square buildings. So there's a lot to talk about here. The first thing that we designed that took me a few days itself was this roof, this kind of wizard hat shaped shingled roof. The main idea of this area, as you can see, is that a lot of these buildings are suspended by stalactites on the ceiling of this cave. So it took me a while to make these stalactites because this pattern is very tedious, and then I wanted to make sure that it goes all the way to the ceiling. The pattern on this roof was very challenging as well because it's a challenging perspective and a challenging shape, and then thinking about how to get all these shingles on here looking not awkward. And like I said, the roof itself took like 3 days, and then everything else came together pretty quickly after that. But that's a very tough shape for someone like me that doesn't really understand like lighting and shading very well. But I think I landed on something that looks really nice. I'm very proud of that, and as you can see, I like copied and pasted it all over the place. So as we move around, you can see a bunch of different shapes of windows and doors that are all slightly different sizes. Some buildings are round, some buildings are square. Some of the square buildings have like a north and south facing roof. Some of them have an east and west facing roof. So these were a lot easier because I could come up with a pattern for these roof shingles, that tiles, and then just kind of delete as I saw fit to do this pattern. A lot easier than the rounded one. As we scroll down here, another cool detail recommended by Cherry was a kind of magenta stripe along the bottom of the building. All of these building designs were, I'm directly basing my pixel art off of the concept art that Cherry did. So all of the placement of the buildings, the shape of the buildings, I'm trying to get as close as possible to her artwork because I thought it was really cool. So again, some more interesting shaped windows and doors here, a special kind of door here that's tall enough so the bats can fit in. We have like a stone bat carving, some kind of perches. Oh, we did this stone bridge walkway tile set and these hanging lamp posts today, which I thought kind of fit in with like the gothic theme. We kind of have some iron decorations here, some decorative ridges here. We have all the corners and slopes and some stairs that I made. If we go down here, we can see the rest of the tile set. was thinking about putting these bats on there, but it might have been a little bit too busy in my opinion. So we kept it a little simpler. There's our slopes and stairs. And then here's our variations of these iron lamp posts that I made with the diagonals going both directions and then the regular 90-degree like that. As you can see, I'm trying to sketch out the layout of the rest of the town, kind of a town center plateau right here, and then some more slopes coming back down around here, kind of a big loop with these, and then trying to figure out how we can connect this up and make it more interesting. But there's a lot of things that went into designing all these buildings. It's been a lot of fun this week putting this together piece by piece, and like a lot of it still has a lot more detail work to do. I have to find a cool texture and make those look nice, but it's getting there and it's very exciting. One really cool thing that I want to talk about as well is some of the visual ideas that I have. So if you notice the background, since this area is suspended high and kind of floating near the ceiling of the cave, I wanted to show the bottom of the cave kind of blurred out behind with like a parallax effect. So I took a lot of our cave assets, like our slopes and this little archway here and just this little raised ridge right here, and shrunk them down 50%. Same with these stalagmites here, and then blurred them. And I thought it was a really cool way to further enhance that feeling of being suspended, like way high up in this cave. Cool. Okay, I actually forgot to talk about Fan Art Friday last week. So on the left is last week's Fan Art Friday from Les. She actually drew this quite a while ago, but I don't think I have featured it as prominently as it deserves. Plus, it is getting colder outside, and I absolutely loved this winter outfit, Norman the Frog. That is his official winter outfit, the yellow jacket and the blue hat and the brown pants with the boots. This week's Fan Art Friday was by Delightful, who drew Norman the Frog wearing a very cozy looking brown cardigan, stomping around in the rain with some yellow rain boots, holding a mushroom umbrella. I absolutely love this artwork. I am so thankful for both of these wonderful artists for contributing. Like I said, fan art just makes me happy. Very happy every single time someone takes the time out of their day to do something like that. So thank you very much to Les and to Delightful. And with that, I am going to wrap up this week's recap. I know it wasn't a giant list of things like the previous weeks, but I am very proud of all the things we did to develop this underground bat society in the caves. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, follow all my socials. I'm most active on Twitter. Please sign up for our email newsletter if you would like to play our demo. People that sign up for the newsletter are going to be the first to play our demo when we make it available in the near future. Also, please add us to your Steam wish list. Both of those things help tremendously. Have a good week. We'll see you next time. Bye.